Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a couple of sets of dice sent to me by the good folks over at D&D WoW. Now, since these sets were sent to me, I just want to make it clear that D&D WoW is not influencing the video. They're not paying for the video. They're not pre-screening it or anything like that. They'll see the review at the same time as everybody else, and the opinions that I express in this video are 100% completely and totally my own. But yeah, I do want to thank them for sending this out to me. I've reviewed a couple of their previous sets of dice over the last couple of years. The first set that I took a look at was their color changing dice set. And they seem to focus largely on metal dice, although I think they do have an assortment of plastic dice as well. But the sets that I've been receiving have all been metal, and they're really just nice quality and well done. The other set that I looked at was their Mind Flare dice, and the Mind Flare dice, as well as these armor sets of dice. These are hollow, so they're like a lot of metal dice sets that I've seen in the past are like solid metal, and every time I had a player that would come to my games that I was running at home, and he would always roll his metal dice on the table, and it really, like, every time I just hear the sound of the die impacting the table, it made me kind of cringe. So we eventually started using like a dice tray, which I appreciated. But with the hollow sets, they're actually a lot lighter, and they just don't seem to have like that kind of impact. Like the Mind Flare dice actually didn't really feel much heavier than a set of plastic dice, while still being clearly made out of metal. So the hollow sets are the ones that actually, I kind of prefer. And this is actually from the same product line as the Mind Flare dice, because you see like on the packaging here, there's the Mind Flare set there, and then there's the like the armor, the helmet. There was like a Viking set, and there was a dragon set as well. Yeah, I've looked at the Mind Flare dice, and I've got two sets of the armor dice here, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting a closer look at these. A little bit of backstory though. These were sent out mid-December, I think it was. It was like a week or so before the holidays, I want to say. And originally they were supposed to arrive around January 10th. And these things just arrived on like February 7th, I think. I think today's the 8th, and I think it was it was on the 7th. Anyway, it took like a month from the time it was expected to arrive to the time that it finally did. Not quite sure what happened there. For like 3 weeks, or a little bit more than 3 weeks, it was just labeled as at destination airport with like no updates. So I didn't know if there was just some sort of holdup at like processing things through, or I have no idea. But thankfully they did arrive, and I felt awful. It was beyond anybody's control, right? But I felt awful that it's taken this long to get the dice set out, so I wanted to get this video out as soon as I could. I was going to record it the same night that I got them, but I was kind of struggling with a bit of a migraine that night. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the dice. So I'm going to go ahead and just pop these out. Actually, before I do that, we'll take a quick look at them here in the packaging. I actually really do like the cardboard packaging. Unfortunately, when I was opening these up, they were sort of wrapped. They were actually wrapped really well in bubble wrap, and I was a little too hasty. And when instead of like cutting the bubble wrap, I just sort of pulled the tape, and then the tape got stuck to the back of this box, and I ended up tearing it myself. So this was not anything that the company did. They actually like packaged these really well, but that I was just like a little overzealous trying to get them out of the packaging, and unfortunately I ripped the box a little bit. But it's still a nice box, and it's multi-purpose. They can use the same box for like these 4 different sets, and that's totally cool. I actually like that, and it actually gives you an idea of some of the other sets that are out there. So if you like this one, you're like, oh well, you see the Viking head, or the Mind Flare, the dragon, and it's like you may want to check these out. I should also mention I'm going to include a link to the D&D WoW website in the description of the video. So if you want to check out these sets or some of the other stuff that they have available, then please check out the link on the site there. But yeah, so they sent me these 2 sets, and I think they're both armor dice. Yeah, I think it's from the armor set. But it's kind of cool because they actually sent me a set of like these sort of gold colored ones, and then a set of these silver colored ones. So you can sort of take your choice there, and I like the option. Actually, I think they look really cool. So now what I'm going to do is pop these out of the packaging and we'll take a closer look at them here just in a second. So let me just get these taken care of, and I will be right back. All right, so here we have them out of the packaging. Now, initially, my plan was just to pop all the dice out and just have them on the table, and we'll take a look at them individually. But the first thing that I actually noticed when I was pulling the tray out is that it actually comes with, each set comes with their own D&D WoW branded dice bags. And I can't remember if I think the Mind Flayer dice set did as well. But I can't remember if it was actually in the packaging or if it was just sort of sent along with the box. But they actually have it cut out, a spot cut out here, and they're kind of rolled up. But I like the fact that it actually shows the D&D WoW logo there. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so it's nice to have the little dice set here. Not much larger than the set that you're buying, but that's fine. I mean, you know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's a nice inclusion to have, and it's just going to be a little bit easier for me to store these now and have them so I can actually use them at my table regularly. So I love the fact that they include the dice bag there with the drawstring. The string actually feels pretty nice as well. It's not like, it's actually got sort of almost a silky feel to it, as opposed to just sort of like the standard kind of, I don't know what you would call it for the drawstrings, but they actually feel really nice. It's kind of like a velvety feel to the dice bag as well. And you got sort of a softer lining on the inside. So again, overall, just a really awesome inclusion to have there. So both of those sets have them. I'm just going to pop this one out as well. And now I will take the dice out and we will take a look at them. All right, so yeah, I just popped the dice out. Hopefully I remember to edit that little part of me just pulling the dice out of the foam trays out, because I wasn't saying much and just trying to get them out of the foam. But yeah, so we got the two different sets here. So we got like the gold colored dice, and then we got the silver colored dice here. Yeah, so, and these are also like the hollow sets, so they're actually pretty decent sized dice. Like they're probably 1.5 to 2 times larger than like the standard plastic sets that you may get at your local game store. But they don't, like, you know, they don't actually feel super heavy. Like they're hollow, and yeah, they actually roll pretty well. I'm just gonna roll it. I have a mat here, but I'm just gonna roll it on the table itself to see how that sounds. Yeah, and so I don't know if the camera actually picked the audio for that up, but the sound of it rolling on the table is no heavier than the sound of like the plastic dice rolling. So yeah, hopefully you can hear that. But yeah, that's actually really cool. So again, they're larger dice, but they're nice and light, and they're metal, so that they're good quality. But yeah, they're actually, you know, super light for what they are. Like you would expect them to like just take chunks of your table out. But no, they're actually really nice. I do like them. So we're going to take a look at the designs here in a moment, and this could be difficult to get the camera to focus because these things do like to reflect the light, and that seems to wreak havoc on the focus. I'm just going to try to turn the light level down a little bit, and hopefully that will make things a little bit easier here. But let's start with the D4s. So I'm just gonna get it to zoom in there, or focus, I should say. So yeah, so you got like the helmet there, and the numbers. Now again, one of the things that I really appreciate about like the D&D WoW dice is that even though they have like some really nice and intricate designs on them, they don't overtake the numbers. So I had someone in one of my gaming groups before the pandemic hit, and all of his dice were these like fancy ones with like elven runes and stuff on them. And you could never read the bloody things, right? Like the designs just completely engulfed the numbering, and it was almost indistinguishable from anything else. Like, so the thing that I really appreciate is that even though they are kind of like nicely designed, that the numbers are always done in a way that they stand out. So you've got like the metal for the helmet, sort of like the golden color for the helmet, sort of like the black sort of empty space on the inside. But the numbers are actually in red, so they show up really, really nice. Like they actually pop really nicely compared to the color of the metal. So you're never gonna have any trouble, I think, reading these. And then we got the silver one here. So let's just take the silver D4, get it to focus, and again we got sort of the same, you know. So they're going to be the same designs on each dice, But again, like the numbers really stand out. And again, it's also, like I said, a nice light dice or die, so that when you roll it, so I'm not worried about rolling these on my table, because they don't sound like they have any more impact to them than my regular dice do. So really happy about that. So those are the D4s. Next, we'll take a look at the D6s. We're going to do these sort of individually. So another cool thing is that there are different designs here. It's not just the helmet. So this is like the armor set, but we've got like the shield with like the dragon relief on it and the sword. It actually, really kind of gives me like a Legend of Zelda vibe to it. But again, the numbers stand out very nicely. It's a nice light hollow dice. And you can sort of see all the way through it there. You can sort of see my hand in the background. We get it to focus. There we go. So yeah, but yeah, actually that one has sort of a nice metallic twang to it when you roll it. But yeah, the actual design looks really nice on the dice set there. So you got like the dragon and the shield there. So that's really cool. The numbers, again, really do stand out well. So let's take a look at the silver one. Okay, so there we got the silver one. The designs on the silver one does kind of blend in a little bit to itself, but you can still make out the dragon. The gold set almost looks a little bit dual plated by comparison, or the shield is just a little bit darker on the background. But I actually like this does look very like new and shiny, and again those numbers just really pop, right? So yeah, again, going to be super easy to read, and again a nice light but metal and sturdy, durable dice. So I love that. All right, up next, we'll take a look at the D8s. So the D8s once again have the helmet design. So a couple of different designs on the dice, but again, it looks nice. Again, it's a hollow dice, so you can see through it. It's not too heavy, which is great, and the numbering just pops super well on these dice. It's just amazing. Like, yeah, I love it. I like, and it's just because I've had so many bad experiences with these like fancy dice sets where like they look really cool, but you can't read a damn thing off of them. But with this one, it's just nice and clear. The designs look cool. Like I love the helmet there. And yeah, the numbers just pop super well. All right, we'll take a look at the D10s. We'll start with just the regular D10. So we'll go to the 0 side there. And once again, we've got the shield with the dragon and the sword. Looks really nice. The points there, again, looks a little more reinforced. It's just again a really cool looking design. Numbers pop super well. Then the same thing over here on the silver side. And just really nice looking dice. The percentiles. You can do it. There we go. The double zeros. Again, they look great on the silver set. Really nice as well. Then our often neglected friend, the D12. Again, with the shield and sword combo. Looks really nice on the in the gold, and then in the silver. And then we got our D20s. So there's our 20. It's got the helmet there. So again, looks really, really cool. The numbers pop super well. And these are numbered properly. So essentially, like with these dice that have like, diametrically opposed sides, that's probably not the right term, but the ones where you actually like the it's I don't know, like the D6 for example is a good one where you've got like the full face that's on the completely opposite side. They're supposed to add up to the highest number that you could roll on the die plus one if you add them together. So we got the 6, and then we've got the 1 on that side, maybe. And then here we've got 4, so the other side should be 3. Right, so they're actually numbered properly. I do have some dice sets that I've picked up that actually don't do that. They just sort of have the numbers. They're not random, but they're not like lined up properly. So, so for example, this one here, you got the 20, and then on the directly opposite side, you've got the 1, and then we've got the 19, and then we got the 2, and then we have the 3 and the 18. So they are actually numbered properly compared to some other dice sets that I have that just aren't. So that's nice to see. And again, just because I've seen like dice from other companies that that don't actually do that, so that's great to see there. And then we got the silver set as well. Just get it to focus there. And yeah, so there you go. So those are the armor dice sets. And yeah, again, like the quality of these dice that D&D WoW have sent, like they've always really impressed me. And when it comes to, we'll just zoom in a little closer here. So when it comes to like, especially when it comes to metal sets, I've always wanted to own metal dice, but I've always been leery of it just because of how heavy they tend to be. So that's the reason why I've just never really bothered to pick any sets up. But these hollow ones, they're fantastic. Like I said, they they don't feel any heavier than the standard size plastic ones. They don't make a huge like clunking sound when they hit the table. It sounds more or less like what you would normally expect when you're rolling a die on a wooden surface. So I think they've done a really great job. The designs on these are also really cool. Like I love the helmet, the armor or the shield, and like the sword crossed over it with like the dragon on the shield. That looks really cool as well. But the important thing is that the numbers pop, right? They're just really easy to read off of the dice. And at a distance, like for me sitting back or looking through the camera at this distance, it's a little bit harder. It may not show up as well on camera. But again, the camera has trouble focusing on these because of the way it reflects light. But for me sitting here looking at these dice, they're super easy to read. Like that's on a 6, that's a 3, that's a 2, that is an 18, or sorry, then that's a 19, that's a 0, that's double zeros, and that's a 1. And then we got 1, 5, 2, 9, 9 again, 10, and 1 there. So they're really clear to read, even if the camera kind of struggles with the focusing at this point. But in person, they look really, really nice. They got a nice weight to them. They're not too heavy, but they're not so light that you think that if you squeeze them too hard, they're gonna break. Like, I'm putting all my force behind it, and it looks perfectly fine. So they seem to be very high quality. I wouldn't want to run my car over them, but I mean, for regular wear and use at the table, I think they're going to hold up super well. Again, they read really easily, much better in person than they appear on camera. When it focuses properly, like that's how it looks in person. So again, there's really nice quality, and yeah, I mean D&D WoW has put out some really cool stuff. So I definitely recommend checking out their website and seeing if there's any cool stuff on there that you may want to pick up. There's a couple of sets that I haven't reviewed, like the Viking dice, the Dragon dice, so those are on there that you may want to check out. They have their color changers, and they've got some other just really cool sets on there as well. So definitely recommend checking these guys out. For like specialty dice, they're quickly becoming one of my favorite companies, and if not my favorite company, just because of the fact that while the designs on the dice look cool, they really do spend a lot of they put a lot of consideration into actually being able to read the numbers off of the things, as opposed to some other companies that I've seen where the dice look really pretty, but when it comes to game time, every single roll turns into is that a 3 or a 13, or is that a whatever. It becomes a really big headache, and I've lived through that, so I'm speaking from experience. But these like specialty dice, premium dice, whatever you want to call them, yeah, they're super easy to read. The Illithid set, the Mind Flare set was super easy to read. Their color changing set was super easy to read. So they understand the fact that the dice need to look cool, but also be able to be read super easy in game, and they pull that off really well. So yeah, like I said, these are just, they're nice. They feel nice in the hand. They got a good weight to them, but they're not like overly heavy. I'm not worried about them damaging my table. Yeah, overall, a really solid product, which is funny or ironic because they're actually hollow, but you know what I mean. So yeah, check out D&D WoW. The website will be linked in the description below. Definitely give them a check and see if there's some cool stuff there for you. Anyway, again, I want to thank D&D WoW for sending these out to me. I really do appreciate it. You guys do some great stuff, and yeah, just keep it up. And for anyone taking time out of their day to watch this video, I do really appreciate it as well. It does mean a lot to me, and I hope you have a great day, week, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you. Hope you're having a great 2022, and I will see you all next time. Until then, take care.